Hello, everyone, and you're very welcome to Tuesday Night Fantasy Football. You're getting a double dose today after the earlier broadcast when I was in conversation with Miss Melina. But let's kick off this show and get into it. Very welcome here to the Main Night Agenda and this Tuesday edition, of course, of Rebels Fantasy Focus. And as I said earlier, I had our wonderful guest, Miss Melina of the Arsenal Fan Circle, giving us her thoughts on fantasy football. So if you did miss that show that went out at 1 o'clock, it was a pre-recorded show. Please do check it out and give your comments. But of course, as always, I'm joined by two of the three amigos because our good friend Ross is watching some cup football tonight. His boys are up against Bolton, so all the best to Aston Villa, as the Americans would say, in the cup. And gentlemen, how are we doing?
I think that sums it up.
Is that you describing your league position column, is it?
Yep, that is. Even though I've had a good week, I still haven't moved anywhere. I've gone down.
Well, the fact that you've had a good week, there is a suggestion out there that those that done absolutely crud muffins this week are those with the good teams. So, is this you admitting that your team's not good?
No, this is me admitting that I was very lucky with some players.
Very good, very good. Pat, how's things up there on the other side of Ireland? I know you gives us the local weather forecast to contrast to where I am.
Look, lads, it's hot tonight. It's muggy. It's not that sunny, but there's no complaints here anyway. I just wish me fancy football was as good as me weather forecast because it's shocking at the moment. And I keep hugging on to that 100 spot. If I go up a little bit past it, I'm back to it. And then I'm back down below it again. I just can't get away from it. And it's not from lack of trying, I can tell you that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, speaking of league tables, it is time to get into the league table update. We did promise that we would start checking in with that. So we have Umar Rajput top of the pile after getting 65 points from this game week. He's breached the 200-point margin, so he's top of the table. I'm looking there to see is there any of our regulars. The first one actually that jumps out, and I don't know what sort of dark magic he's pulling or what voodoo he's doing, but Omundi Juma, the fantasy football noob, is still leading and flying the flag of the presenters on 198 points. Colin, can you explain, is it beginner's luck? What formula has Omundi struck on that he just cannot seem to be knocked off his perch?
Look, every dog has the day, don't they? You know, it's the start of it. All I'm going to say is don't get too comfortable Monday because the three people you see on this show are coming for you. Mark my words, we're coming for you.
Pat, do you want to weigh in there on Monday's almost walking on water type effort that he's had for the first 3 game weeks?
I don't know what is worse, the league position for Omundi or that big Cheshire cat of a smile on him every time he gloats in the background to us. It's killing a lot of us, but fair play to him. And hopefully now this is a week for a couple of us to better ourselves and get up that table.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of our missing compadre, there he is in the chat. Ross, hello, how are you doing? Enjoy, as I said earlier, enjoy the game. We wish you the best. And we look forward to having you back with us next week. But Robbie Norman is also in the chat. Obviously, also of dub fame, I believe, Pat. He was saying that he was top dog for a few hours, believe it or not. Bill Badjo is currently riding 17th, and he's hoping we're all good. And Brush there is also saying hello in the chat. But moving through it there, Thomas Mitchell actually, who's with us on a regular basis, is in that top 10, so fair play to him. But we need to discuss the lower end. And I'm sorry about this, Ross, but yourself and Cullum, it's like a stinky diaper. You're both rooted to the foot of the table in the forfeit stakes. Cullum, are you going to stop the rot? A bit like Manchester United last night, they stopped the rot, but can you stop the rot?
Yeah, of course I can stop the rot. You're gonna see these next coming weeks. I'm flying up that table. I'm not playing Mr. Nice Guy anymore. I'm getting serious now, and I'm going to put all of my FPL knowledge to good use now.
Very good. Now, I just want to point out that I was in the company of someone that finished well within the top 100,000, or was it 17,000? I think she said last year. So Miss Melina is a force to be reckoned with. So I'd imagine you would have your work cut out, and you'd have to get up very early in the morning to pull the wool over Miss Melina's FPLIs. But Pat, where are you situated in the table before we move on?
Do I have to tell you?
Yes.
The last time I checked, I think I was 106 or 103. Not that either one of them makes much of a difference, but I'm hanging on in there and I don't want to leave it. Oh no, look, I'm 105 now, so I'm moving on up. Not bad for somebody who played that wild card this week.
Whoa. Okay, this has to go up. I'm bringing this forward. The wall of shame's going up. The wild card. Explain yourself, Mr. Lawless. Explain yourself.
I took Malasia and the low. I took Harry Kane out of my team, and I took Rondon out of my team. I didn't want to take the hit on the couple of transfers, so I wanted to change my goalkeepers as well. So I put her up. I went with it, and I couldn't have went any more wrong. I chose only Koulibaly, Reece James, Cancelo, and Trent Alexander. Would anybody care to know what I got from the game week from my 4 defenders?
Go on.
-1.
Lovely. Now, Pat, if it is any comfort to you, this here, Bill Baggio, is in the same stall as you.
That's my man, Bill.
I want to ask Cullum. Cullum, obviously, you also were in the glass house last week having used your free hit. How do you feel about what Pat has done? And is it a case that he did not take learnings from your situation?
I think he must have missed the show. I mean, no, it's easily done. It really is. You know, you can set into a little bit of panic when you see things happening. And you can always be like, well, these are going to do better. These are going to get me the better ones over what I've got, especially when you look at fixtures. Like I said, it's easily done. I did it through panic. So I know exactly where Pat's coming from. You know, he's done something. He's tried to gamble and it hasn't paid off.
Very good, very good. Now, Pat, I'm going to come back to you. What are you putting on the wall of shame today?
As in one of my players?
Your players, something that you've seen in the FPL community, a underperformance of an FPL asset. What are you absolutely disappointed in and think deserves to be right marching down with the shame bell behind them?
Chelsea FC, for starters. Talk about a contrast from last week to this week. Koulibaly was scoring volleys from nearly outside the box, and this week he's getting sent off and pumped 3-0 by Leeds. Like, where did we see that coming from? Nobody saw that coming. I couldn't believe it. It absolutely ruined my wild card. If them two lads had done a bit better. So I didn't make Salah my captain. I couldn't be biased. I had Cancelo playing Newcastle. I had Trent playing an underachieving Manchester United, and I had Reece James and Koulibaly playing against Leeds, and I came away with -1. But the worst of all that was Chelsea FC and Koulibaly. -2 points he got me, and he's suspended. He's gone.
I feel for you there. I really do. That almost does feel like, but not quite as bad as the Núñez owners that brought him in before he got sent off last week. But Cullum, I'm going to go to you next. Wall of shame. What's going up there?
I am putting Yuri Tillemans up on the wall of shame. He's worth 6.4 million. He's played 175 minutes and he's scored 5 points. That is not good enough for a player of Yuri Tillman's class. I've had a look into the ICT of him as well, which is influence, creativity, and threat. Now, the 3 scores I'm going to read out are all out of 256. So obviously, the higher score, the more threat you have and whatnot. So his influence is 94. His creativity is 77, and his threat is 100. For a player of Yuri Tillman's quality, they're terrible. And I'm sorry, but if you've got him in your squad for 6.4 million, you might as well just get rid of him and get your 6.4 million back, because he's not getting you anything.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of the wall of shame, I'm going to, on behalf of Ross, just put Koulibaly up on the list because he is absolutely distraught at the absolute garbage that he rendered at the weekend. But on behalf of myself, I've a linked item. Premium defenders obviously had an absolute shocker this week. So if you're big at the back, more than likely you are crying into your Cocoa Pops at the moment because your team did not do well. But Trent Alexander-Arnold, I read today that he's actually at risk of a price drop due to phenomenal trading activity that is underway with him being moved out. That despite the fact, even though defensively, let's be fair, he'll want to forget that Manchester United game, he wasn't getting touches in all the right areas. So thinking ahead, looking at the fixture list, you'd have to wonder why managers are moving him out. And I'm going to throw that out to the panel and ye in the comments. Why do you think managers in FPL are so reactionary, and will Trent being shifted come back to bite them in the keister?
I would be sick if I bought Trent this week and put him into my team. Would I get rid of him? No. Because if you get rid of him, you're going to lose money on him. I lost money. I lost money on Malacia and I lost money on Dalot. And that was after 2 bad games. Now, Liverpool are on the 3rd bad game. Does that mean does Trent are going to drop more money now, does it? Or he's just going to drop money? Does it go by percentage of games?
I believe it's percentage of transfers out against and movement in the week. Colm, do you want to confirm that?
Yeah. So it goes by your percentage of transfers out and transfers in.
That's not very good for me, lads, because I looked at the transfer out roundup, and in the top 10, 3 of my 4 defenders are in it. So I can't afford to sell anybody this week or I'll be broke.
Oh, Lord of mercy. But in terms of Trent's potential, obviously he is a clear attacking asset. He's been a staple of FPL, despite the fact that when we get the opportunity as United fans, we do have a cut off him, but you cannot deny the pedigree in fantasy football. But looking at that, obviously the week that is gone past, we are looking to forget about it, but we are going to be previewing the next game week. But before we do that, if you do have any questions in the viewer Q&A, please do bring them to our attention and we will absolutely mention them there towards the end of the show. I know, Kalo, you are actually going to feature later on in that because you did get in contact on Twitter, and I am going to discuss that item with the lads here today. But if you do like what you're seeing also, please do give us a like, share and subscribe. We do appreciate it here on the channel. And if you have friends that are interested in FPL, we welcome all creeds of team, and there's no discrimination here. When it comes to fantasy football, the badge does get thrown away. But moving right along, as you know, Colm and Pat, we're on the cusp of our first midweek fixtures. They will be coming swiftly on the back end of this weekend's fixtures. And instead of going through the fixtures, each one like we usually do, because I did have an in-depth discussion with Melina in the earlier show, I think, Colm, you have a tips and tricks sheet that we're going to have a wee look at.
Yeah, I have put together a little bit of something. Obviously, not many people are going to take it. I don't think from where I am in my actual positioning. But yeah, so obviously you can see the top one there. Time to drop Martinez. This isn't Lisandro Martinez. This isn't the defender. This is Aston Villa's goalkeeper. And the only reason why I'm saying is it time to drop Martinez is because of Villa's backline. You know, as good as what he actually is, they're conceding quite a lot of opportunities and a lot of chances, and he's going to concede goals. If you look at who they've got coming up as well, it isn't an easy game. They've got West Ham next, so it's going to be a very, very difficult game for him against West Ham.
And I do believe West Ham have a new wing back. They're after sealing a deal for Emerson.
Yes, I think that deal has actually been done. I think I saw something earlier saying that it's agreed and everything now. So, you know, I don't know who you could replace him with. Obviously, you guys have got your own opinions who you replace him with. So, I'll let you guys discuss, who you would replace Martinez with.
I'm going to briefly come in there and actually throw the goalkeeping debacle to the floor. With regards to goalkeepers, I've actually been looking at my affinity to Ramsdale at the moment, and I'm thinking, what am I after doing? Arsenal are in the form of their lives, and I'm after locking myself in with a goalkeeper. And now I know, Pat, I won't spoil your story. You can come to it. I'm thinking, is it time to move down to a Sanchez, bank the 0.5, and then look at getting in Odegaard or another Arsenal asset? So I'm going to just throw that to you, Pat, and you can explain your story as well to the gang.
No, because I have to be biased, because I just put Ramsdale in my team and he got me 6 points. And now I tried to sell Koulibaly and I went to put Salah in my team, and I can't put more than three Arsenal players in my team. So that was that plan out the window. So now I'm stuck with Ramsdale and I can't get rid of him until I decide to do a few more substitutes. I decided to go with Ramsdale in defence because I thought it was a bit of a surefire bet. I looked, thinking I was being clever, at Arsenal's fixtures for the next few weeks coming up, and I thought it was being clever. So I looked at it. First of all, I said, okay, they're playing Fulham next, I believe. Then it was Aston Villa, and then I think it was Manchester United. So I thought keeping Ramsdale in there for another 2 to 3 weeks for the previous game week as well. I said, that's it. That's some nice points I'm going to earn myself. So unfortunately, with Martinelli in my team and Jesus up front, I am limited now to getting the likes of Salah or Zinchenko in my defence, who are currently scoring goals and assisting.
There we go. What about looking at the Brighton defence? Because obviously they are going well at the moment. And oddly, Sanchez seems to be 0.5 below the other staples. The likes of SHAH, who I saw Bill mentioning in the chat, is obviously at 5 million. And for some bizarre reason, I noticed Pope, the current Newcastle goalkeeper, is also after attracting a 5 million price tag. But Colm, if you were to drop Martinez, who's on your radar in terms of the top two choices?
So I had Martinez, and I have actually dropped Martinez. So the two players I've looked at to come in as the goalkeepers for me, one of them is Sanchez. He's cheap and he's been outstanding so far this season. I know we're only a couple of games in, but it looks like he's going to be good value for his money. So that's one. And then you've got to look a little bit. I mean, Ramsdale, Ramsdale's going to get you points, but he's a little bit more expensive than some of the other goalkeepers out there. Maybe you just go for a cheaper backup keeper. You're not going to be playing both keepers, are you, in your team? So, but yes, I think Sanchez, and I've seen SHAH being put in the chat as well. SHAH's not a bad shout.
A lot of people are going for Henderson for the cheap price of 4.5 as well, because Notts Forest got off to a good start, but how long is that going to last?
No, that's the thing. I mean, I probably wouldn't put Henderson in my team just because of the run of fixtures they've got coming up. it's going to be quite difficult for Forest, I think.
Absolutely. I'm going to move us along because we do have a bit to get through, and there's a small bit of transfer gossip that I do want to ask your opinion about at the end. But I'm going to move to Rodrigo next. So, Colm, you're saying here that Rodrigo's being picked by 710,000 managers, and for only 6.3 million. I think is he gone to 6.4 now? And at a point return of 35 going into game week 4, managers see him as a points machine. Now, obviously, for those of us that didn't get in early, with those points increases, he's a bit like Martinelli. He may be out of our budgets. And I want to throw in Mr. Jack Harrison into the equation because as yet, he is only still at the bare 6 million. And it looks like what Rodrigo's involved in, he's either in part of the build-up play or he is the man delivering the ball. So is Harrison a viable alternative if you don't have that 0.3 available?
Yes. Yeah, he's 100% a good, decent alternative for, say, Rodrigo. I mean, if I'm lucky enough to have Rodrigo in my squad, I pointed out last week on the show that he was my one to watch. I never thought it was going to turn out as good as it did, but Harrison is playing just as good. So if you've got, that extra point, whatever, or you need that extra point, whatever, and you can't get Rodrigo, then Harrison, yeah.
Pat.
Yeah, I like to keep a bit of variety in my team, and I tend to have whoever's playing well at the time and in form. I tend to have 2 or 3 of them in my team. Now with Rodrigo, he finished better. He finished off the season well last year, but he didn't have a great start. I think he picked up a few injuries, or he transferred in later in the year. I can't remember. It was one or the other. And I remember my sister's boyfriend put Rodrigo into his team at the start of the season. I went, geez, that's not a bad show because he finished so well. And then all of a sudden he scored. And he actually made him captain on the first game of the season as well. And it paid off.
My, oh my. That is what we call poxy as F.
Right. Would I put Harrison in my team? It'd be a bit of a gamble, to be honest. But I'm not doubting the fella's capabilities. I think if I was going to put 2 players in, it wouldn't be 2 Leeds players I'm putting in my team.
I got you. Now, I'm going to come back briefly here to Colm's sheet and Chelsea defenders. Now, I went with Joe Wicks-Light for a -4 last week, and it turned out to bite me in the keister. For those of you that haven't realised it, Cucurella has a striking resemblance to the body coach, Mr. Joe Wicks. But do you think Joe Wicks-Light can come good for fantasy owners, Colm?
Yeah, I think he can come good. The only reason why I'm putting that there is because they've just been absolutely battered. And I just don't see. I mean, they're missing Koulibaly as well. That's going to be a big miss for him. But yeah, as in for Cucurella, he will come good. I just think he needs a little bit more time to settle into Chelsea, the Chelsea squad and tactics, and then you'll see him gathering points quite quickly.
Absolutely. Now, the other one I want to throw in there is we're seeing today that Chelsea are currently locked in negotiations for one Mr. Fofana, and the fee that they're demanding would actually finally take the limelight away from our good old fridge and make somebody else the most expensive English defender. And that is, they've rejected, I believe, £80 million so far. Would Fofana improve that Chelsea defence? Would he tighten it up? And who would he shift out of there? Is there a chance then that the likes of Cucurella, once Chilwell is available, will be subject to that roulette that we all hate as fantasy managers?
It's that to Colm or myself.
It's over to you, Pat. We have to give you a bit of an answer.
No, that's okay. That's no problem at all. So, like me personally, I'm not too sure what is going on at the Chelsea team at the moment, because with the Chelsea team, you're looking at it and you're going, who is coming in, who is going out? Is Azpilicueta staying? Is Alonso staying? I'm not even too sure who I can pick from the team anymore because I don't know who's staying, who's going. Like if James, Koulibaly, Chilwell, Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, Cucurella, Alonso, them alone, not even to mention Shalaba, there's there's enough defenders there to make two defenses. So they've no excuse for what he can't put a back four or a back five together. So who would I stick in there? Oh man, if Thiago's fit, I'd be putting Thiago in there with Chilwell because Thiago seems to play better with it. Oh yeah, maybe Chilwell, James, maybe Thiago. They've got a good back four there easily. But would I take a gamble on any of them? No, I'm not too sure because I don't know who's staying, who's gone, and who's going to be performing. To be honest with you.
Very true. And actually, Kalo has called me up on something. I have made a error. It's obviously a sign that I'm absolutely overly staticized, but Fofana is actually French. So shame on you for not berating me on that fact. But Colm, I'm going to move swiftly along. Gundogan. We are looking at that Manchester City asset group, and so far we haven't seen the real roulette. But I'm actually going to tie in Haaland a bit to this as well, actually, and make it a Manchester City type thing. We have seen indications from Pep that once the multiple games a week starts, we may not have a Mr. Haaland starting. So if Alvarez does start taking a share of the workload, which he more than likely will, how much of a problem at the asset price does that make Haaland for managers?
It's going to make a massive problem. Is how much is he worth at the minute? And his value is only going to go up. What is it, 11.7 at the minute? And his value is going to go up. You can't afford to have an 11.7 million pound asset sat there not playing. There's going to be the rotation, which is why I've put there Haaland or Kane as well. But there's going to be a rotation. Pep Guardiola's said it. So we 2 out of 3 games possibly you're going to be missing Haaland. So that's going to be an issue.
Do you think, lads, with the amount of game weeks coming up and the amount of squad rotation, it might be time to dwindle your squad down to a strong, full squad and not have individual superstars in there? So if you have got a £7 million striker, let's just say, I don't know, Mitrovic, for example, and then you have another 6 million one there sitting on the bench, you can afford for either one of them not to come on. So suddenly if one of them doesn't get to play because there's been squad rotation and your subs, you're happy for your subs to step in. Could that be the case? What you might have to do?
I would be of the opinion that diluting your squad too much could, obviously, with the obvious benefits there, there's also problems that if you're without those premiums, you could end up getting bitten. The way I'd look at the Haaland situation is that it may be kind of time to say, okay, let's move the money back into De Bruyne, cover that Manchester City attack base, and then look at somebody around the Watkins price range then to cover as a third striker. But there's multiple options available to you, like the Arsenal assets are currently flying off the shelves. Nunes could once again become a factor if he manages to hold his temper and not get involved in items that could get him sent off. Colin, do you want to come in on any more on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very difficult, Like we said, Nunes might come back into this, but then again, Nunes is going to probably get squad rotated as well. So that's not going to really benefit you. The reason why I've put Kane's name there is because he's their striker. Yes, they've got Richarlison, but Harry Kane wants to play every game, and he will play every single game he possibly can unless he's injured. And even then, he tries to still get on and play. So if you look at it that way, Kane is more likely going to get game time over a Nunes or a Haaland. I mean, you could possibly look at somebody a little bit cheaper. You could look at a Martial, a Rashford, players like that. You could look at them.
Yeah. And then you have Mitrovic. You've got Ivan Toney as well. I know Ivan Toney's at the 7.2 million mark, but still, you've gone from a 12 million pound striker to three strikers for about 20 million instead of two. So like instead of having Kane and Jesus for 20 million, you can have three strikers for 20 million.
Very true, very true. Now, lads, I'm going to press you for a captain call for the coming week. I'm going to avoid the main protagonist. So I don't want to hear Jesus. I do not want to hear Salah. I do not want to hear Haaland. I do not want to hear Kane. I want a differential from you.
Differential captain. Okay, I'm going to go with Martinelli.
Interesting. Any reason why before we go into Pat?
Yeah, he's been in decent form. He's bagged himself a goal or two, and he's coming up against Fulham, which I think Arsenal are going to have a very, very good game against.
Okay, Pat?
I'm going to go with Kulusevski off Tottenham because he came on all guns blazing, and he was a little bit quiet the last game. So I think he's going to come back out now again and show his salt, because I think that he's going to be one of the best players in the Premier League this year. He is,
Very good. And for me, I think Son could actually finally start hauling some points, maybe. So it's a bit safe when I take out the main ones, but I think we're due a Son mega haul. He hasn't done it for a bit, but I think if not this week, it's coming, because he's been underperforming, I think, to a large extent, and I think a lot of fantasy managers are holding out with the hope that he may finally repay their investment in him, because they probably have ridden the bad games at this stage, so there has to be an upside soon. Any thoughts on that?
That's a bitter pill to swallow for the first three games. Sitting there watch the Sun do nothing, isn't it?
True, very true.
That would make you want to pull out the wild card or just swap him out. Like I sacrificed Harry Kane on my team to strengthen me midfield, so I couldn't sit there and watch Son's sitting there not getting anything, and you have other players in my team that have lacked because of it. I could have a couple of 4.5 million midfielders that are pretty much doing nothing in my team, and Son sitting there, and I could sell Son and upgrade them. That'd be my opinion.
Very good, very good. Now, we are getting to that stage where the viewer Q&A is now in session. Kayla, you will be coming up shortly, but on Monday, or anybody else in the chat, if you do have a question for the panel, you can either give it to us now and we'll try our best to answer it in the remaining moments of the stream, or if not, after the show, as always, we will monitor the comments and try to get back to you. But Kayla was in contact with us, and I'm actually just going to, before I do move on to that, Gopal as a differential captain is nominating Ivan Toney. So if you want to give your thoughts on that while I find a comment from Kayla, please do, lads.
Yeah, Ivan Toney is a differential captain for the game week. I can't see why not. Brentford are playing Everton. We know what Everton have been a bit like this season. They're a bit shaky at the back as well. He could get quite a few if he puts his mind to it. So it's a good shout. It's a very good shout.
Interesting.
Why don't we just stick with Rodrigo against Brighton?
I think
he's all guns blazing at the moment. If you can tear Chelsea apart, what's to say they're not going to get another game on the road, on the run, until someone picks up an injury or someone figures them out or they drop off.
Absolutely. Now, the one thing I would hasten is that Brighton have been very solid defensively, so possibly it could be the wrong week to go for a bit of a call like that. But going on to the original question that I was about to post to you, Kalo was in contact with me on Twitter, and he says he's after making a transfer for Sancho and Trent Alexander-Arnold. having taken out Bowen and James, but at a cost of -8 points.
Ooh.
And it looks like he's done it before Trent may suffer a 0.1 loss. So give your opinion there and your advice for Kayla.
That's a smart move because, as I said earlier on, after Delo and Malacia lost the first 2 games, I was waiting. I had saved up my first transfer from the first week for the second week, and I was waiting for the second week to start to use my 2 transfers together. But because the second game week had started, the points got deducted from both players, so I was 0.2 million down on 2 players. Where if I had used my first transfer before the second game week started, I would have only lost 0.1 million on one of the players I had transferred out instead of the 2 when the second game week started.
Colin.
Yeah, I mean, you need to make sure, if you're giving away points, it's costing you points. You need to make sure that it's the right thing to do. If you're 100% behind it, then sure, go ahead. I have made transfers that have cost me points. You will accumulate those points back, so it's not too worrying there. You shouldn't panic about that at all. And I think Pat said it the best. He's done a very smart thing. He's got rid of them before, obviously, the points and everything has happened and taken place. So very, very good. A very smart move, I think.
Actually, in this case, he's brought in Trent at an extra 0.1 cost, not at a point saving.
Extra 0.1. If he's got the extra point, this is what I said at one of the beginning shows. If you keep 0.5, you might need it. A 0.1's not going to really hurt you too much. You've still got that 0.4 there.
Pat, do you want to take this one from GoPaul?
Zinchenko or Perisic? I like what this man is saying. Unfortunately, I can't put another Arsenal player in my team without transferring out one that I currently have in there. So Perisic, I think, is a very good call this week. We all had high hopes for him on the first game week. It didn't work out. A few of us did panic. We took him out, and he's been lighting it up since. So it's a good call for this game week. I might even make it myself. Wink, wink.
Well, I'm going to move on now to our final topic, and it's not connected to fantasy football directly just yet, but I did mention this particular rumour to Miss Melina, and I'm going to indulge myself and ask your opinion on this as well. And that is the rumours that one Pedro Neto could either find himself at Arsenal or at Manchester United. Wolves are believed to be demanding a astonishing £50 million for the winger, with some sources even saying that they want double what they got for Gibbs White. So at £50 million, do you think that he can assimilate and make a real impact at a Manchester United or Arsenal in a fantasy perspective? And as United fans, would you take him?
Would I take him? Yes, I would. He's Premiership proven. He's consistent. He's a good, strong player. When Diogo Jota left Wolves to go to Liverpool, a lot of people were like, is he going to be good enough? And now look how good he's become. So some players do improve when they go to a better team. I'm not saying Manchester United are as good as Liverpool, even though we did beat them last night. Ha ha. But I would like to see Neto at Manchester United, because if we're going to get a right-hand sided player, he's a right-hand sided player, isn't he?
Left wing.
Left wing.
Well, he could play left wing.
Left, all right. He's stronger. Right. He's stronger on his left, but he can play in his right. That's what I thought. I read him this morning. So if he can play there, I'd be happy to have him, because look, 100 million for Anthony seems to be extortion. And if that's gonna affect any of our transfers, I think we'd be madness to pay.
Speaking of Anthony, there are updates from Darmish that the £68 million winger does want to move to Old Trafford, and he is doing everything in his power to try and articulate and demand that Ajax negotiate with Manchester United. And at this stage, I think I heard it best on actually Sky Sports earlier. It's a comfort issue now for Ajax. They're thinking at this point of the game, how likely are we to get a replacement? And it's not really sitting well with them given the amount of players that have left. But again, I'm going to just indulge the possibility of it. Anthony, is he an asset out the gate as a fantasy football manager's perspective, or again, is it one of those ones that new to the league you need to be wary if he does arrive?
Is not an instant asset in my eyes. He's never played in the Premier League before. Okay, he's played under Eric Ten Hag and he's played his system before, but he's gonna need 2, 3, 4 weeks to even get to grips with how physical and how demanding the Premier League is. It's the best league in the world. You can't be expecting to get away with what he does in the Eredivisie. So it wouldn't be an instant in for me.
Thanks. Pat, I'm going just as I spot Miss Melina, I am going to give her a shout out. It was a wonderful conversation with you earlier on that we recorded last night. And if you do have any questions regarding fantasy football for Miss Melina, I'm sure she would be delighted to come back to you on the comment of that video. So do please put them in there. But there's one more incoming that has been rumored today, Pat. And again, it's the Manchester United one. As you know, we have lost Eric Bailly, and that's one more central defender that is going out the door. But the rumor is that Eric Ten Hag is willing to target Kevin Trapp the number 1 jersey should he earn it, as he believes that he might be more suited to making the progressive moves that would be required for playing out from the back. And again, with that type of a keeper, does that make Manchester United wing backs or wingers / inside forwards a more attractive proposition, because we might be moving that ball that shred faster?
Yeah, like it's. I never thought David Hay would be in the bad side of everybody's comments as much as he is now, going back a year or two ago. But now that the system has changed, the style of football has changed, will he be replaced? Yeah, the last couple of performances would make you believe that, on the basis of all the comments that we hear. Just to plug the lads who are on later on a Monday and Bath Times eye test, they would tell you get rid of him straight away if they had their way. So do I think Manchester United are going to sign a goalkeeper like him? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, because it's a position that I feel we're just going to bring somebody in, and they might not be a world-renowned player, they might not be a superstar, but they're just going to come in and do the duties that is expected of the goalkeeper, like what Ederson do, like what Alisson does. May not be of the same caliber of them, but just do it, and it's going to instantly improve our team. So yeah, look, I can see a sign like this happening.
There we go. And on Monday or Bath Time, if you are in the chat, we might throw that question to you to disclose your thoughts on in the eye test, which goes live, I believe, at 10 p.m. tonight. Always a good watch. The lads are very knowledgeable, and they will break down all the movement. But I want to touch on one final item from last night's game. And again, with the view to fantasy football, Rashford finally put ball in back of net. And he is very attractively priced currently in fantasy football, with Manchester United assets having all gone down in value recently due to their start to season. Is this someone that could possibly provide returns for FPL managers that might have been considering, say, a Lingard or somebody else of that ilk previously?
I would have to say no. It's not because I don't like Rashford. Everybody knows I don't. But I'm just going to have to say no, because, okay, he's performed once. Good. Well, he's scored once in a game that is against one of our fiercest rivals. So you'd expect him to perform. You'd want him to run and drive and everything. I don't. If he continues to perform, so if he performs well on Saturday, when we play, is it Southampton we've got on Saturday?
Yeah,
early kickoff, yeah.
Yeah,
12:30.
so if he performs as good as he did against Liverpool as he does at Southampton, then and his price hasn't changed, yes, because that's obviously he's coming back into it, Rashford. Then you can see that he's getting his motivation and everything back, but at the minute now.
Sorry, just before I come to you on that, Pat, I do have some interesting breaking news that apparently Manchester United have put in another bid for Anthony, And according to this person, the bid is in the region of £80 million. How insane would it be for Ajax to reject that if this is actually the figure that has been put forward to them for their consideration?
Absolutely crazy, the fact that we're going up this high. I'm trying to just figure out here how much £80 million is in euros. It's over 100 million, is it? No, it's not. It's 94 million. 94 million. 94 million euros. It's crazy money considering what we were originally linked to him at the start. What was it at the start? Something like 45 or something.
In that ballpark, yeah.
And now we're at double it. Are we just trying to are we just trying to throw money away at this stage? Not that Anthony isn't worth it, but it's absolutely crazy the amount of money that it's gone from, because clearly Ajax don't want to sell him and we're going at it. Like, there has to be other players out there who are of the same caliber. Like, how much did Barcelona pay for Rafinha?
Somewhere the region of 70, wasn't it?
Was it? I had 60 in my mind.
No, I could be thinking euro, so don't forgive me.
60 million euro. Okay, yeah, okay. So, yeah, like, it's an awful lot of money for Manchester United to buy a player that we're just rising and rising and rising to a cost that Ajax don't want to sell a player, and we're going to end up paying double the money. But look, still, it's their money. If they want to throw it away and we get a player for the season, happy days.
There you are. And just another interesting one. The same person is saying that it is believed that a Maguire transfer would suit all parties, as he needs a move to recommence his career, and his value at the moment is only heading one way, and that is down. Given, of course, our centre back issues at the moment, and obviously the requirement if we did move Harry on, that Varane getting injured would be pretty much a disaster. How unlikely is it that Maguire would be allowed to leave to start his career elsewhere and get that confidence back?
I don't think Maguire's allowed to leave at all, just because Eric Ten Hag knows that if he lets him leave, then he's got to go out and replace two centre backs. So he's not going to let Maguire go. He's going to need him through the season. As much as it kills me to say that, I wish we could just let Harry Maguire go. I wish I could send him on the train to wherever he's going myself personally. But now he's going to end up playing quite a few games for United, especially if there's some injuries.
And there we have it. Now, we did go a bit over because there was some interesting transfer news. The other one, and the source on it isn't great, is that apparently we could be walking in Memphis again at a cost of €10 million, with Barcelona prepared to rip up his contract. But I think there's no need for words in that regard. But as I said, if any of you in the chat do have questions regards anything fantasy football, we would be delighted to engage with you after the show in the comments. We will be back next Tuesday, and of course, there will be live games while we're on next Tuesday, and we will try and update you with regards to your favourite FPL assets that are playing, and let you know how they are performing, and maybe whether or not they might have to be put on the wall of shame. But from us tonight, Colm, Pat, thank you for joining us. Thank you for all being wonderful in the comments. But good night and God bless.